So, I have a bit of a confession to make. I actually like Fire Emblem games, and I'm a fan of most of the Fire Emblem characters in Smash. Lucina Snake is my favorite matchup when I play with friends. Marth is my main in Brawl. Ike is so funny. Chrom and Roy are both fun to play as and to watch. Violet and Robin are both such unique characters that I mained both at one time or another. And Corrin is in the game, I guess. But needless to say, the rest of the Smash community doesn't have the same love for Fire Emblem that I do. It's not exactly a secret that these characters are often seen as wasting character slots and too similar to be in Smash. Smash fans have been so radicalized against Fire Emblem that every Sword Fighter reveal is met with complaints that we're getting our 100th Sword Fighter instead of our 200th Punchy Kicky Fighter, and every anime-style character added to the game is met with hundreds of complaints that the Japanese developers are adding Japanese characters to a Japanese game developed by a Japanese company. But as crazy as it sounds, Fire Emblem haters aren't really wrong to be this upset. Fire Emblem is tied with Pokemon as the franchise with the second largest roster of character reps, unless you count Squirtle, Ivysaur, and Charizard as different characters, in which case Pokemon is first, Mario is second, and Fire Emblem is third. Either way, the representation doesn't really match the popularity, especially when compared to franchises with lower representation like Zelda and Kirby, both of which are obviously more popular than Fire Emblem. It doesn't really make any sense, especially when you consider the fact that 4 of the 8 characters have nearly identical movesets, despite the fact that the Smash Bros. Franchise has long since moved past the need to add clones to fill space. These issues are largely what has bred the hatred that Fire Emblem fans are now so used to dealing with, and has even led to a loud minority of Smash fans calling for Fire Emblem to be pulled from the game entirely. The whole issue could have been so easily avoided with one single action early on in the development of every Smash game: putting me in charge of the Fire Emblem representation. So, after the longest intro to any video ever, here's how I would have handled Fire Emblem in Smash. In an interview with Source Gaming, Sakurai said that he wanted to add Marth to 64 in order to diversify the cast with the addition of a second sword fighter, but there just wasn't enough time to add him in. He also said that he wanted Marth to be someone with finesse, a swordsman who relied more on technique than brute force, in the hopes of adding a clear alternative to Link's strong, direct fighting style. But despite this information, there isn't a single change I would have made to Smash 64's roster. I would exclude Fire Emblem from this game for several reasons. First, the Smash 64 roster is so iconic. Nearly every character in the game was already loved worldwide, and many have since maintained or even increased that popularity. Even the characters who have fallen out of popularity in recent years were at least released overseas prior to the release of the Nintendo 64. But to my knowledge, Marth's game wasn't released outside of Japan until 2020, and no Fire Emblem games were even released worldwide until 2004. I understand that Smash is a Japanese franchise, and that as a Japanese company, it is important that Nintendo prioritize their homeland customers over their overseas consumers. However, I also believe that it is far more important to avoid alienating the relatively larger foreign audience during the first installment of what would one day become one of their most popular franchises. For that reason, I am choosing to keep the Smash 64 roster the same as the original. Super Smash Bros. Melee was the first Smash game with any Fire Emblem representation, and it is in this game where we see our first change. But before we get to that, I would like to say that I will be keeping Marth in the game. Despite the fact that there wouldn't be a single overseas Fire Emblem releasing for another 3 years, I believe that adding Marth to Melee is crucial to the growth of the Smash Bros. Franchise because it added to playstyle diversity and increased the character count. This is especially important because the only other sword fighters at the time were the nearly identical Link and Young Link. Roy, however, is an entirely different story. I want to avoid adding him to Melee or any of the future Smash titles. I know that this is likely a controversial decision, but please, hear me out. Roy was a genuinely bad character in Melee. He is placed very low on nearly every tier list, and as a Marth clone, he isn't exactly a necessary addition to the game or the franchise as a whole. Plus, Sakurai himself said that Smash Roy wasn't an accurate representation of the Fire Emblem version. This is likely due to the fact that his game was still in development and wouldn't be released for another few months. Historically, adding characters from obscure and unreleased games has been very unpopular with Smash fans. It is due to Binding Blade's late release date, the disdain towards additions from unreleased games, Roy's low tier list placement, the lack of uniqueness in his design, and the fact that as the original Marth clone, he likely greatly contributed to the half-accurate stereotype that all Fire Emblem characters are the same, that I have decided to remove Roy from Melee. I do not have a character that I want to replace him with, nor do I believe that there is really any need for one. Okay, this should be very easy for everyone. This entry will likely be on the shorter side because it's the one I have the least to say about. I would make 0 changes to the roster for Super Smash Bros. Brawl. I have already established my affection for Marth, and due to the existence of Young Link and Toon Link, as well as the omission of Roy as a Smash character, Marth is arguably the most unique sword fighter up to this point. I say arguably because Meta Knight was pretty kick-ass despite being incredibly OP. I would also like to keep Ike in Brawl. His moveset is distinct and unique from all other characters, and he maintained that uniqueness in all future games despite his overall physical appearance being comparable to Marth. I believe that he has been fun to play as, fun to play against, and fun to watch in all 3 of his Smash appearances, and his fighting style as a high-powered brute-strength brawler-type sword fighter is very unique, and it sets him apart from the other swordies in a way that Roy's kit never could. Plus, his game being released worldwide a little over 2 years before Brawl doesn't hurt. But I would like to say that since Ike is the second Fire Emblem rep in my alternate universe, I would prefer to replace him with an axe or spear character in order to better represent Fire Emblem, but this video is not about my dream roster. It is about how I would optimize the current Fire Emblem reps in order to improve how they are viewed by the community. Okay, here is the hardest part of the video. This will be the longest part because Smash 4 had the most new Fire Emblem reps. 2 base newcomers, Lucina and Robin, and 1 DLC fighter, Corrin, for a grand total of 3 newcomers, plus Marth and Ike as returning fighters, and Roy as that weird returning fighter DLC thing. I'm gonna try and do this as quickly as possible. Marth and Ike were in Brawl, they're already in the base roster in 4, they can stay. Roy was omitted from my version of Melee and is basically absent from my version of Smash as a whole, but a different cut fighter needs to replace him as weird returning DLC fighter. I nominate Wolf because I believe he's the only viable option. Ice Clammers wouldn't work on DS, Toon Link and Young Link are basically the same character, Pichu was unplayable in Melee, Mewtwo was already DLC, Charizard had already represented Pokemon Trainer and would be awkward to have just Squirtle or just Ivysaur rather than having both, Snake was cut due to legal issues, and Lucas was already DLC. Only Wolf is left. For Lucina, I would turn her into an alt skin for Marth like Olimar Alf, or the Koopalings, or male-female Robin, or you get the idea. This would eliminate an Echo Fighter, something Smash fans hated back then and many still hate now, but would still provide representation for her character and her game. As for Robin, I would keep them exactly as is. I loved them to the moon and back and even mained them in the early days of Ultimate, before they were gutted. Robin was probably the most accurate representation of Fire Emblem up to this point. Plus, the meters made Robin the most accurate representation of turn-based RPGs until the addition of Hero and Ultimate. Thanks to the use of something other than a sword, the magic meters on every special move, and the versatile and unique ability list, Robin wasn't just the most unique Fire Emblem character. They were one of the most unique characters in the history of Smash. And now for the worst Fire Emblem rep, Corrin. I hate Corrin. It's no secret that I hate Corrin. Adding Smash 4's 6th Fire Emblem rep as DLC was bad enough, but Roy had already been added as DLC. Fire Emblem is the only franchise ever to get 2 DLC reps in 1 Smash game. And even without Roy and Lucina, Corrin still feels out of place among DLC characters like Ryu, Cloud, Mewtwo, and Bayonetta. These are beloved gaming icons, 3 of which came from games that permanently changed the gaming landscape. Corrin was added as advertisement for a game that, despite being wildly popular when compared to other Fire Emblem games, still felt extremely out of place when compared to the other newcomer DLC reps, all 3 of which were third-party, all 3 of which were more popular editions, and 2 of which came from beloved classics. Honestly, this would all be fine if Corrin was fun in any way, but I really don't think she is. She's boring both to watch and to play, and she's tedious to play against. Especially online. Like, we get it, little Timmy. You have a side B. Maybe you'll win for a change if you try using any other move. I know that there are good Corrin mains out there, but I have yet to play against one. Just, Bye-bye, Corrin. Also, Corrin would need to be replaced by another DLC character. I'm thinking something new and third party, so it would match Ryu, Cloud, and Bayo. Something like Crash or Rayman. But not Banjo. Not yet. Now, it seems like Smash 4 is finished. There's no more Fire Emblem characters left, right? Wrong, because I am going to do something that nobody has ever had the balls to do before. I am adding Chrom to Smash 4. Alright, hear me out. Despite the hatreds towards Fire Emblem, Chrom was a highly requested character in Smash 4 and was even considered by Sakurai. Without the existence of Roy in Smash, Chrom would not be an Echo Fighter. Plus, Robin was added in this game. You cannot have a Robin without Chrom. It is illegal, and Sakurai is going to jail. Smash Ultimate is pretty easy too. Everyone is here was the game's big E3 selling point. That hasn't changed with my version. All of the Fire Emblem characters that I previously included are returning. Martha as Lucina Ult, Ike, Robin, Chrom, they're all making a return in my version of Smash Ultimate. Roy and Corrin, of course, are still being omitted, and with Chrom changed to a Smash 4 veteran, there are no new Fire Emblem characters on Ultimate's base roster. I think that works, and I don't think it should be changed. This just leaves Ultimate's DLC fighter, Byleth. In the real world, it was kind of inevitable that Byleth would be in Smash Ultimate. We've already discussed Nintendo's bad habit of using and abusing the Super Smash Bros. Series as a Fire Emblem advertising campaign, and it's relatively common knowledge that Sakurai had little to no input on the addition of several of the characters that have been added to Smash. However, in my version of Smash, Sakurai and his team were acting with complete autonomy, only ever restricted by legal issues and time constraints. Therefore, Byleth is entirely optional. So what decision would I have made? I truly believe that Byleth belongs in Smash. I know this is a controversial take, but again, please, hear me out. As of late 2020, the award-winning Fire Emblem Three Houses sold well over 3 million copies, making it the most popular Fire Emblem game to date. And more copies are still being sold. Three Houses also spent a lot of time on the Switch's list of best-selling games. Plus, at this point, there would only be 4 Fire Emblem reps, tying it with Metroid in first place, trailing far behind Legend of Zelda, and only narrowly beating Donkey Kong, Kirby, Star Fox, and Kid Icarus. One more Fire Emblem rep couldn't hurt. Especially when you consider the fact that, like Pokemon, the second place representative, Fire Emblem is a franchise famous for boasting a large cast of unique characters in every game. And it is important to take into account the fact that Byleth is also the most unique sword fighter in Smash. This is the only character with 3 melee weapons. Byleth is also Smash's only spear character, and the only Smash character to use an axe as a melee weapon instead of a projectile, unless you count Villager's Down B, but that's only 1/3 of a single move. These weapons are both highly requested additions to the Smash roster, and when combined with the sword, they make Byleth the single most accurate Fire Emblem rep because she utilizes all 3 of the weapons in Fire Emblem's weapon triangle, as well as using a bow to demonstrate the existence of weapons outside of said triangle. I believe that Byleth's uniqueness and the lower number of Fire Emblem reps would have greatly diminished or even entirely deleted the animosity towards Byleth's addition to the series. Of course, I understand that Byleth has a lot of the same issues that I used to criticize Corrin's inclusion, but Byleth's uniqueness, her accuracy to her original franchise, her high game sales, and the lack of new Fire Emblem reps in Ultimate all make her a much better choice than Corrin and better justify her addition. However, I do think it is necessary to swap her placement with Banjo. Despite having a lame playstyle, Banjo was the single most hype reveal in Fighter Pass 1, and despite being sick as fuck, Byleth was the least. I think a lot of the peanut gallery's disappointment wouldn't have been there if Banjo-Kazooie came after Byleth and Terry instead of before Terry and Byleth. So, to recap, no Fire Emblem characters in Smash 64. Marth is added to Smash Melee, Roy is not. Marth returns in Brawl, and Ike joins as a newcomer. Marth and Ike return in 4, Marth loses 4 normal ult skins in exchange for 4 Lucina skins, and Chrom and Robin are added as base roster newcomers. Byleth is added as DLC to Ultimate. I truly believe that lowering the number of Fire Emblem reps to 5 instead of 8, limiting the number of Fire Emblem newcomers to 1 per game with the exception of 2 in Smash 4, completely banishing the idea of Fire Emblem Echo Fighters, and ensuring that every Fire Emblem rep is unique would greatly alleviate the hatred towards these characters and the series that they came from. But what do you think? What changes would you make to the official Smash roster? Are there any other Fire Emblem characters you would want to add or remove? Let me know. I'm more than happy to continue this discussion in the comments below. Hope you made it to the end, and thanks for watching.